Hi, it's Gerald Oginski. Come on in. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury trial lawyer, and today I want to show you again my dad's medical bag. You know, my dad's no longer around, but I love having this around because it brings back great memories. And today I'm talking about obstetrical malpractice. And you know, my dad was an obstetrician, and you may want to ask yourself, what's the son of an obstetrician doing handling obstetrical malpractice cases? Well, the bottom line is I love helping people who are injured because of someone else's wrongdoing. That's the bottom line. And I know that my dad would be proud of what I do because I help people. I help them get compensation for the injuries that they suffered because of someone else's wrongdoing. But today we're talking about a stuck shoulder during the course of delivery. That's known as shoulder dystocia. What's happening here is that the baby may be too big for the mom's birth canal, or maybe the mom's pelvis is too small to accommodate the baby's head or shoulders. When that happens, then there's something called shoulder dystocia. And that's an obstetrical emergency. And there are a series of moves and maneuvers that a doctor can use in order to try and relieve that so that they can deliver the baby. One of the maneuvers that was done in the old days, and I guess you would call my dad an old-timer when he was practicing, is that they would put something called fundal pressure on the mom's abdomen. And what's fundal pressure? The doctor or the nurse would take their forearm and literally reach over, stand over the mom, and use as much force as possible and put it onto the top of the belly in order to try and push the baby out and down through the birth canal. What do you think happens? Now you have an obstruction. And if a doctor now puts force from the top on the abdomen and now tries to push and ram the baby through something that's clearly stuck, well, what can happen? I'll tell you what can happen. You can have trauma to the baby's head. You can have injuries to the spine. You can have injuries to nerves. You can have injuries to the bone. And when the baby is ultimately delivered, the baby can come out with significant neurological and orthopedic injuries. And that's something that fell out of favor a long time ago. One of the maneuvers that you may see a doctor use is something called a corkscrew maneuver or a Wood's maneuver, where they're literally trying to rotate the baby in such a fashion to get that stuck shoulder unstuck. You may also see an obstetrician reach into the mother in order to try and get one of the arms of the baby to pull it gently in order to get that shoulder stuck because of the positioning. By pulling the arm, it may loosen it and allow the baby's head and shoulder to come out. But the fundal pressure is contraindicated today. So if you see a doctor or a nurse applying pressure to the very top of the mom's abdomen, then you should speak up and you should say something. Say, hey doc, I know I'm a layman, but isn't that fundal pressure? And I thought that fundal pressure is not permitted to help deliver a baby because it can cause problems. Now you may see somebody applying pressure to the lower groin area, and that's known as suprapubic pressure, and that's perfectly okay, and that's done all the time. Again, it's designed to try and reduce the complication where you have a stuck shoulder, to try and loosen it up or to push it out. But if you see it happening up at the top of the abdomen, that's a significant problem. And if you have questions about your particular delivery, then I encourage you to pick up the phone and call me. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at lawmed10@yahoo.com. I'm Gerald Oginski here in New York. Thanks so much for watching.